very seriously, but Chuck and I did work well together. That was a report.
What happens when America's favorite son quietly disappears from the spotlight, only to return decades later with a story no one saw coming? He wasn't just the kid from The Rifleman. Johnny Crawford lived a life that spanned from Disney's Mouseketeer days to Hollywood ballrooms, and then into heartbreaking silence. Johnny Crawford, born John Ernest Crawford, on March 26, 1946, in Los Angeles, California, entered the world surrounded by the allure of show business. His family, deeply rooted in the entertainment industry, played a significant role in nurturing his early interest in the arts. His father, Robert Lawrence Crawford Sr., worked as a film editor and eventually became a television producer. His mother, Betty, was also supportive of the artistic inclinations within the family. Johnny was one of 4 siblings, including Corydon, Nance, and Robert Jr., the latter of whom also achieved recognition as a child actor, especially for his work on the series Laramie. The Crawfords came from a culturally rich background, with Russian, English, German, and Irish roots, possibly contributing to Johnny's artistic sensitivity and creativity. Growing up in Los Angeles, Johnny attended the renowned Hollywood High School, graduating in 1964. By then, he was already widely known as a teenage heartthrob due to his starring role on television. His formal education offered a base, but the majority of his learning came through direct immersion in the entertainment industry from a very young age. Johnny's professional journey began in 1955, when he became one of the original 24 Mouseketeers on the Mickey Mouse Club. Although his time on the show lasted only 1 season, it gave him valuable exposure and early training. The show introduced him to a national audience and connected him with other rising stars such as Annette Funicello and Bobby Burgess. In 1956, Johnny landed his first major dramatic role in NBC's live broadcast Little Boy Lost, a performance that tugged at viewers' heartstrings and displayed his talent as a young actor. That same year, he guest starred in the iconic Western The Lone Ranger. These early roles solidified his growing presence on television, opening doors to consistent work through the rest of the 1950s. He soon became a regular face across various television shows. He had roles in dramas like The Loretta Young Show and comedies such as Mr. Adams and Eve. He also appeared in Whirlybirds and Sheriff of Cochise, showcasing his flexibility across genres: drama, action, and comedy. Parallel to his acting, Johnny began cultivating a music career. With his boyish charm and a gentle singing voice, he captured the hearts of teens across America. In the early 1960s, he released several singles that charted on Billboard. His most successful track, Cindy's Birthday, 1962, reached number 1. 8 on the Billboard Hot 100. Other tracks like Your Nose Is Gonna Grow, Rumors, Proud, and Angelica also found popularity. His songs embodied the innocence and dreams of early 60s youth, making him a staple on music variety shows and in teen magazines. In 1965, he guest starred on Mr. Ed, the sitcom about a talking horse, and released the song Am I Too Young, resonating with adolescent fans. He also appeared in Indian Paint, a coming-of-age film where he played a Native American youth. Later, he starred in the faith-based film The Restless Ones, produced by the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, showing his willingness to take on serious subject matter. In 1967, Johnny landed a small role in El Dorado, a classic Western directed by Howard Hawks and starring screen giants John Wayne and Robert Mitchum. While his part was minor, the experience of working with legends further validated his status as a respected young actor. That same year, he released Angelica, adding to his musical legacy. Not long after, Johnny's career was interrupted by military service. Drafted into the U.S. Army, he served for 2 years, using his entertainment background to assist in the production of military training films. He acted, coordinated, supervised scripts, and helped direct educational content for the Army, eventually earning the rank of sergeant before his honorable discharge in December 1967. Johnny returned to Hollywood and in 1968 guest starred in Hawaii Five-0 as a soldier, allowing him to reconnect with audiences. In 1970, he played a part in The Resurrection of Bronco Billy, a short film created by USC student John Longnecker. The film won an Academy Award for Best Live-Action Short Film, and Johnny's contribution was pivotal to its success. His continued involvement in independent and meaningful projects spoke volumes about his passion for storytelling. In 1973, Johnny starred in the offbeat and partly animated film The Naked Ape, based on the controversial book by Desmond Morris. The movie, which analyzed human behavior and evolution, was a satirical piece and showed Johnny's willingness to take creative risks. He starred alongside Victoria Principal and worked with a unique ensemble cast. Over the years, he continued to make appearances on popular television programs. In 1976, he was featured on Little House on the Prairie as Ben Shelby in an episode titled The Hunters. In 1985, he played a role in Murder, She Wrote, portraying Noah Paisley in one of television's most beloved crime dramas. These appearances confirmed his continued relevance and reliability as a television actor into the 1980s. Later in life, Johnny shifted his focus to a lifelong love: vintage music. In 1992, he founded the Johnny Crawford Orchestra, a California-based ensemble specializing in 1920s and 1930s dance music. The orchestra gained prominence, performing at high-profile events, including numerous Art Directors Guild Awards ceremonies. Their debut album, Sweepin' the Clouds Away, released in 2012, paid homage to the big band era and showcased Johnny's devotion to preserving early American musical heritage. One of the most enduring questions fans had was about Johnny's relationship with Chuck Connors, his co-star on The Rifleman, where he played Mark McCain, the son of Connor's character, Lucas McCain. The duo's chemistry on screen was undeniable, portraying one of TV's most heartfelt father-son relationships. Yet for years, Johnny had remained relatively quiet about their off-screen bond. In one of his final interviews, Johnny broke his silence and offered heartfelt insight into their relationship. He described Chuck Connors as more than a colleague. He was a mentor, protector, and a surrogate father. During the filming of The Rifleman, Johnny was a young teen, facing the challenges of early fame. Connors, already seasoned, took him under his wing. He fostered a work environment of safety, respect, and professionalism. Between takes, Connors would share wisdom from his sports career, teaching lessons about dedication, humility, and resilience. Johnny expressed deep appreciation for how Connors treated him as an equal rather than just a child actor. They frequently rehearsed together, played catch during breaks, and developed a friendship rooted in mutual respect. Still, Johnny acknowledged that Connors could be intense at times. His strong personality and high standards sometimes felt overwhelming to a young actor. But in hindsight, Johnny understood it came from Connors' deep commitment to the show and its characters. Even after The Rifleman ended in 1963, they maintained occasional contact, and Johnny held immense admiration for Connors. When Connors passed away in 1992, Johnny was profoundly affected, describing the loss as a lingering ache. Though he didn't speak publicly at the time, his tribute years later painted a portrait of Chuck Connors that was both candid and loving, honoring him not just as Lucas McCain, but as a complex, generous human being. In a tender chapter of his personal life, Johnny rekindled a romance from his youth. He and Charlotte Samko, a high school sweetheart from Hollywood High, had first fallen in love in the early 1960s. Life pulled them in separate directions, but fate brought them back together in 1990. The reunion wasn't fleeting. They rebuilt their relationship with care and eventually married in 1995. Their marriage, rooted in both nostalgia and a mature love, became a source of strength for Johnny, especially in his later years. Unfortunately, in 2019, it was publicly announced that Johnny had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, a devastating condition that gradually erodes memory and mental function. The news saddened fans worldwide, many of whom had grown up watching him as the bright and sensitive Mark McCain. As his condition progressed, friends and former colleagues rallied around him. Among them was Paul Peterson, a fellow child star known for The Donna Reed Show, and an advocate for former child actors. Through his nonprofit, A Minor Consideration, Peterson launched a GoFundMe campaign to help cover Johnny's rising medical expenses. The campaign touched fans across generations and received strong support from the public and the entertainment community. Despite the outpouring of love and assistance, Johnny's health continued to decline. Eventually, he moved into a care facility equipped to handle the complexities of Alzheimer's. Then, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Johnny contracted the virus, a dangerous turn for someone with his underlying health issues. He also developed pneumonia, which only worsened his condition. In the years following his mainstream television and music success, Johnny Crawford transitioned gracefully into a quieter, yet deeply fulfilling chapter of his life. His passion for performance never waned, but rather evolved as he embraced more personal and nostalgic artistic expressions. One of the most meaningful endeavors of his later years was the formation of the Johnny Crawford Dance Orchestra, a big band ensemble dedicated to reviving the vintage charm of 1920s and 30s dance music. Johnny's love for this era wasn't simply about musical preference, it was a reflection of his artistic spirit and appreciation for the craftsmanship and romance of an earlier time. Under his leadership, the orchestra became a fixture at elegant events across California, including the prestigious Art Directors Guild Awards in Beverly Hills, where they performed for 15 consecutive years. Their performances weren't just musical events. They were immersive experiences in classic Americana, with Johnny often singing in period-appropriate style, evoking a golden age of dance halls and jazz. In 2012, the orchestra released its debut album, Sweepin' the Clouds Away, a lovingly curated collection of classic songs arranged with authentic instrumentation. The album was warmly received by fans of vintage music and introduced Johnny's talents to a new generation of listeners who appreciated the timelessness of swing and big band melodies. More than just a vanity project, the orchestra symbolized Johnny's enduring dedication to entertainment, history, and the joy of shared nostalgia. Beyond music and performance, Johnny Crawford's later life was deeply marked by a remarkable personal reconnection. In a poetic turn of fate, he rekindled his relationship with Charlotte Samko, a woman he had first fallen in love with while attending Hollywood High School in the early 1960s. Their high school romance had been tender and sincere, but life took them on separate paths after graduation. Johnny into the public eye and Charlotte into a quieter life. Despite the decades apart, their bond endured in memory. In 1990, nearly 30 years after their initial romance, Johnny and Charlotte reunited. What began as a reunion of old friends soon blossomed into something much deeper. The couple found that their connection had not only survived time, but had matured into a lasting love rooted in mutual respect and shared memories. They married in 1995, a union that represented stability, companionship, and a return to something pure and genuine from their youth. This chapter of Johnny's life, away from the spotlight, was one of contentment. He was no longer the teenage heartthrob adored by millions or the Western star riding into primetime each week. Instead, he was a devoted husband, a passionate musician, and a beloved figure to those who remembered him fondly. Charlotte stood by his side with unwavering support as he focused on personal joys and smaller-scale artistic projects that brought him satisfaction. However, this peace would be challenged when, in 2019, it was revealed that Johnny had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. The news was met with an outpouring of emotion from fans and colleagues alike. For those who had watched Johnny grow up on television, first as a Mouseketeer and later as the earnest Mark McCain on The Rifleman, the diagnosis was a sobering reminder of the inevitable passage of time. Alzheimer's, a degenerative neurological condition, gradually robs its victims of memory, reasoning, and independence. For Johnny, a man whose identity had long been tied to creativity and expression, the disease was particularly cruel. The diagnosis not only marked the beginning of a difficult medical journey, but also deeply affected those around him, especially his wife, Charlotte, who became his primary caregiver. One of Johnny's oldest and most loyal friends, Paul Peterson, quickly stepped forward. Like Johnny, Peterson had also been a child star, best known for his role on The Donna Reed Show, and had long since become an advocate for the rights and welfare of former child actors. Through his non-profit organization, A Minor Consideration, Peterson had spent years helping aging performers navigate the challenges that come with a lifetime in the public eye. Moved by Johnny's situation and recognizing the financial burden of long-term Alzheimer's care, Peterson launched a GoFundMe campaign to help with expenses. The campaign served not only as a lifeline for Johnny and Charlotte, but also as a way for fans to express their appreciation. Contributions poured in, not just in dollars, but in heartfelt messages recalling how much joy Johnny had brought into people's lives over the decades. Despite the loving care and generous support, Johnny's condition steadily declined. He was eventually moved into a specialized care home, where he could receive full-time attention from trained professionals experienced in treating Alzheimer's patients. The move, though difficult, was necessary to ensure his safety and comfort. Then, in 2020, the global COVID-19 pandemic struck, a crisis that would compound the challenges Johnny faced. Like many in long-term care, Johnny was especially vulnerable. In early 2021, he contracted COVID-19, a dangerous diagnosis for anyone, but particularly devastating for someone with Alzheimer's. His weakened immune system and pre-existing condition left him unable to fight off the virus effectively. He also developed pneumonia, a frequent and often fatal complication. On April 29, 2021, Johnny Crawford passed away at the age of 75. The cause of death was listed as complications from Alzheimer's, compounded by COVID-19 and pneumonia. His death marked the end of a remarkable life, one that had begun with childhood promise and matured into a legacy of grace, gratitude, and quiet strength. For fans of the Rifleman and classic television, Johnny's passing was more than the loss of a performer. It was the fading of a cherished piece of cultural history. His portrayal of Mark McCain, the sensitive and brave son of Chuck Connor's Lucas McCain, left an indelible mark on generations of viewers. Together, they had created one of TV's most memorable father-son relationships, rooted in moral clarity, mutual respect, and emotional resonance. In later years, Johnny had finally opened up about that special bond. His heartfelt reflections on Chuck Connors offered fans insight into the genuine love and admiration he felt for the man who had guided him during his most vulnerable years. Though their relationship had its complexities, marked at times by Connors' intensity and perfectionism, Johnny always spoke of him with reverence. Connors had been more than a co-star. He had been a protector, a mentor, and in many ways, a second father. The values Connors instilled in him, discipline, humility, and hard work, shaped the young Crawford not just as an actor, but as a man. Even long after The Rifleman ended, Johnny carried those lessons with him. He cherished Connors' memory and grieved deeply when Connors passed away in 1992. By breaking his silence in later interviews, Johnny offered a rare glimpse into the human side of two iconic figures. His emotional honesty allowed fans to see beyond the screen and understand the profound influence Connors had on him. It was a tribute not just to a man, but to a bond forged in trust, care, and genuine affection. Johnny Crawford's story is ultimately one of perseverance, passion, and integrity. He weathered the challenges of early fame, the transition to adulthood, and the struggles of aging with a quiet dignity. Whether performing in front of a live audience, reminiscing about his co-stars, or simply enjoying life with his beloved Charlotte, Johnny remained a humble and gracious presence. His legacy lives on, not only in the episodes of The Rifleman still broadcast today, or in the nostalgic melodies of his orchestra, but in the hearts of those who knew him personally and those who grew up watching him. Johnny Crawford was more than a performer. He was a storyteller, a friend, a husband, and a man whose life was defined by kindness, loyalty, and enduring love. As time moves forward and television continues to evolve, the values that Johnny represented, integrity, warmth, and earnestness, remain timeless. His story serves as a reminder of the golden era of Hollywood, where the bonds formed on set sometimes became just as meaningful off-camera. Johnny Crawford passed away on April 29, 2021, at the age of 75. Though the official cause of death was complications from Alzheimer's, both COVID-19 and pneumonia played contributing roles. His passing marked the end of an era, a poignant goodbye to a beloved actor, musician, and gentleman. Yet, Johnny's legacy endures. From his breakthrough as a Mouseketeer, to his unforgettable role on The Rifleman, to his chart-topping pop songs, and his revival of vintage music through his orchestra, his life was a rich tapestry of artistry, perseverance, and heartfelt connections. His love for Charlotte, his friendships with peers like Chuck Connors and Paul Peterson, and the grace with which he faced the challenges of fame and illness all stand as a testament to the quiet dignity with which he lived his life. Johnny Crawford will always be remembered not just for what he gave to audiences, but for who he was behind the scenes. Kind, humble, and devoted. A true classic in every sense of the word. And so, though the curtain has closed on Johnny Crawford's remarkable life, the echoes of his laughter, the sincerity of his performances, and the songs he so lovingly sang continue to resonate. He may be gone, but he is certainly not forgotten. If this story moved you or reminded you of the shows, songs, or people that shaped your childhood, go ahead and drop your favorite Johnny memory in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that reveal the human side of fame.